All right, so we finished part one, which was making our high poly shield. So now we want to start thinking about, we have this really nice shield. It has too much detail to go into a game engine. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all this surface detail and we're going to create a series of images that represents that we're going to put onto a simpler model. So let's get a little prep work done for that. So I'm going to come up here to my material editor. You just hit M on your keyboard to open it up. And now for this shield, what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign materials to it. So remember, we've gone in and under rendering, render setup, we just went to scanline renderer. And so I'm going to find under the scanline grouping, which may be collapsed, you may need to click to open it. I'm going to bring over a standard material. I just click on the little minus sign to collapse it. And let's grab everything here, right click and assign it. So everything has a neutral gray. And for our purposes, we're going to want to get a couple other materials on it. All right. Like maybe we'll get different materials for the little sphere. So let's drag another one in. Now let's select the shield, right click and hide it. Oh, and I'm going to make sure I go over to just select mode because I don't want to accidentally select and move everything. So let's grab everything here. I'm going to right click and assign a material, but this one, I'm going to change the color of it to red. And honestly, the color doesn't make a difference as long as it is visually different. I could even come in and grab these little discs, and if I want to bring in another material, I could assign one to that and give that a different color. When we get to creating our surfacing, our texture images later, having different materials on it will be very useful. So, all right. So here we go. This is kind of our base model. Remember, I'm going to go zoom out here. And let's select this little reference circle surface I did there and delete it. I'm just going to take my model and say File, Save As, and hit the little plus sign to get another version. I'm just going to delete that background. All right. So here's my model. I'm going to click on the main body. And I'm going to right click on it and go down to clone. This is very important. I'm going to clone it as a copy, and I'm going to call it shield underscore LP. I'm going to hit OK. So now if I look in my Scene Explorer, there's shield LP. I want to make sure that is currently selected. I'm going to do edit, select invert, and just hide, right click and hide selected. So the only thing I have currently selected is my shield LP. So let's go to modify. Now at this point my shield is still on lathe. I haven't collapsed it to an edit poly, so it'll be all right. I will show you how you can handle this I'll make a separate tutorial for in case you baked it and you converted it to an edit poly. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to simplify this overall shape to make a more simple version that'll get the textures on it. So I'm going to come down here to Edit Spline, and in vertex mode, I'm going to kind of zoom in here, and let's maximize our viewport. I'm just going to delete some of those extra points that are coming out there, because we don't need those. I'm going to grab these points here. My weld is already cranked up really high to 500, so I can just click those points and weld them together. There we go. And now up here, I'm going to come in and in refine mode, I'm just going to kind of look at where the main contours are to define that. Same down here on the end. I'm going to sort of define it by itself. Now let's grab this everything, right click and say corner. There we go. And so now we have a much simpler shape for our overall shield. I'm going to come up here to lathe, and if we look, here's our very basic shield that we have. It may be too much out there on the end. Maybe I'll come into that last point down there, and I might actually get rid of him too. There we go. So this is our simplified shield model. All right. So if we were to go into utilities, more Polygon Counter, So this thing, if I'm counting triangles, this is 1600 polygons. It's more than we need. I'm going to come here to modify, and on lathe, I'm going to reduce the number of sides to 32. And look, that takes us down to 800. So that's perfect. Like, this is a nice low poly shield. It's not too faceted on the sides. From a distance, it looks round. It looks like a great video game shield. So at this point, I'm going to save my project. And I'm going to do File, Save As, and hit the little plus sign. So now I've got 3 different versions of it saved. Because I'm just saving progress in case I need to go back. But from here, I'm going to right click and say Convert to Edit Poly. Go into Element, click on the model, and I'm just going to hit Clear All and just assign it one smoothing group. There we go. So now it's just one smoothing group. If I go to Display and turn on Backface Cull, there we go. It's all set. I think if I'm going to do anything, maybe I'll come here to Edge and double click on the edge of the base of this thing coming up. And maybe I'll put like a little chamfer on it of like, oops, very little chamfer of like a 0.1. But not have the extra segment. There we go. And now I can grab the whole thing again in Element, Clear All, and assign it one smoothing group. All right, and so now that's my low poly shield. It's Shield LP. I'll click on Edit Poly. So I'm at the top level, and over here I can type in low poly. All right, and so now we have a high poly and a low poly shield. As we're moving into UV mapping and texture creation next, we will be all set to generate some fun textures.